Hey everyone, this is Shepard from TeamworkCast.com, here expanding on my Monster Hunter Tri Ultimate Bow tutorial. This time fighting the Nargacuga in the arena with the bow. Not really a very good bow for this. I'm not really a very big fan of the bug bows. They're pretty versatile with some coatings, but typically they don't really do as much damage as the other elemental specific bows. That being said, though, it's still not a bad armor set. In fact, I think it might be one of the best choices out of everything that you can use. At the very least, my arena times at least seem to bear that out. The reason for that is even though Weakness Exploiter isn't a terribly great skill, with the bow you're really able to target out specific parts of the monster. Especially on the Nargacuga, who takes a lot of damage on his head and tail anyways. With the bow, you can be pretty much hitting their weak spots non-stop. So you may have noticed that I put on the power coating right away. The bow does come with different coatings you can use. Generally speaking, though, if you're going for pure damage and speed, you can just load up power coating and not really need to do much of anything else. In fact, I'm in a little bit of an impasse. So I'm going to be making some other tutorials soon, and there are a lot of bows out there, especially in Tri-Ultimate, that are good, except they don't have power coating. And so I don't know whether I'm going to be trying to farm up a God Charm with power coating on it or just go without. But in either case, if you'll have watched the previous video in the series, you'll realize that that extra 50% damage boost from the power coating is really, really worth it. So my general strategy, at least in this quest, is to use one of 3 different attacks. The first is the level 2 charge, is Scatter. I try to get up close and hit him in the face with that. Level 3 charge is Rapid, and I use that if he's a little bit farther away and I think I can hit the head. Then finally, if he's really immobilized himself and he's at just the right distance, I'll use the Arc Shot and hit him with that as well, only because it applies a very large amount of thunder damage. And he's pretty weak to thunder, so it's worth it. I don't think I'll actually be able to get him exhausted in time for the KO damage I'm doing to him to be of any use, but if you really wanted, I guess you could always try and knock him out with that. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's at least an option. And so, one of the best skills you can learn as any sort of gunner, I guess we can call bow users gunners as well, is the ability to evade through attacks. Now, evade really helps with that, but there are certain attacks in the game. Narga's Tail Whip probably is the best example of it, that you don't need to have evade on. They move so fast, and as long as you evade through them, you generally do not get hit. His Scream, too, is actually pretty easy to learn to dodge as well if you needed to practice. It has a very few actual frames where it will stun you. As you may see me on the stream every now and again fighting Narga, just trying to evade through his roars instead of actually avoid them. Well, then again, I guess his Scream is so small, you could probably just fight him normally anyways without even trying to evade through it. And otherwise, it's just a really standard strategy, you know. With the bow, you really want to get off as many shots as you can, and so unlike where you're using like a bow gun, you have to really make sure to aim and conserve your shots for the most part. With the bow, it's okay to not be completely ideal with your damage each time. The reason for that is it's not like you ever really run out of anything other than possibly power coatings. Say, for instance, you're using a bow that isn't even using power coatings, I mean, it's even less reason to really worry about hitting when it's not ideal. And again, still just following the strategy. Arc firing whenever he's giving me the opportunity. And there's been a fair number of hits that I've been hit by so far that I could probably have avoided if I really focused. We'll get to my eventual time fairly soon. And I think definitely there's an opportunity here for somebody to be able to do a sub 5-minute Narga if it was really their desire. And you see, I'm not, really waiting much to get on shots. I mean, especially when he's immobilized. Better to get 4 or 5 shots in general with some good hits than 3 really well-placed hits. And that's because, especially with him, the elemental spreads all over his body, and just enough damage that you need. So, 5 minutes and 12 seconds. Well under half the time necessary to get S rank. Certainly for the people worrying that bow is not a good weapon or not effective in G rank. Try and use some of the other weapons in this Narga fight and see how far you get in terms of getting sub 5 minutes. And see how that works out for you. So until next time, I will have more videos coming up. Hope you enjoyed this one. Any questions, post them in the comments, subscribe, join up at teamworkcast.com, and good luck and have a good hunt.